This is TV18 and you're watching CNBC TV18.
Presented by EY, building a better working world.
Hello and welcome to Eye on India. I'm Shireen Bhan. After over a decade of back and forth, the goods and services tax has become a reality on the 1st of July. India's biggest tax reform since independence, subsuming more than a dozen taxes in the country, and we are now nearing the 1-month milestone of the GST rollout. Today, we take stock of the hits and misses in the first month. Now, 99.9% of India's 80 lakh taxpayers have already registered for the GST. The industry is coming to terms with destocking and restocking, even as demands continue to be made for a rate revision by various sectors. Now, the GST Council has been nimble and it's been open to revisions to adapt to market realities. There is the next council meeting scheduled for the 5th of August. Joining me today on this special broadcast to discuss the hits and misses of the 1 month of the GST rollout, Thomas Issac, the Finance Minister of Kerala, Krishna Bairegowda, the Agriculture Minister of Karnataka and member of the GST Council. Also with us, Balaji, the CFO of Hindustan Unilever, and Harishanker Subramaniam of EY India. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18. Mr. Balaji, let me start by asking you, what has been the experience so far if I were to ask you about the 1-month report card of the GST rollout in terms of destocking, restocking? What is the ground reality?
Yeah, thanks, Shireen. I think it's been a good start for GST. Overall, the trade is slowly starting to get accustomed to getting used to GST. All our distributors have been selling from day one, and we are now slowly starting to get all parts of trade now getting into the equation. The big one that we still need to get our act together is on the wholesalers in some parts of the country who are still a bit reticent in getting into the GST network. But I think it's only a matter of time before they also come on board. Good news is that CSD is now starting to, all their depots have started to buy as well. So I think, well, the first week or so was a bit lukewarm. As time went by, I think we're now slowly starting to pick up and business is getting back to normal.
Okay, so you are saying that the first week was lukewarm and you expect things to start to get back to normal. One of the big things that one would imagine the GST has been able to address, perhaps not in full as of now, is this business of the check posts being done away with. We're still, of course, awaiting the final mechanism when it comes to e-way bills. But what is the experience on the ground been in just moving your goods from one state to another?
I think goods movements have been all pretty smooth, and we're also starting to slowly see that the speeds of trucks are starting to increase, and it's still in hours a bit, but I think we just need to give it a bit more time before data can be statistically relevant. But I think it's heartening to note that at least visually a lot of checkposts have disappeared. The long queues that you saw are not there anymore. And therefore one does expect that the long lead trucks, as they start moving across multiple states, we'll be in a position to appreciate the speed starting to increase. So that's one part of it. I think the biggest one that we all need to work together to ensure is the fear around some of the myths that are there in wholesale or in parts of retail. Those are addressed so that everybody is now joining this exciting journey of being on GST.
What continues to be the #1 myth at this point in time that you believe is holding back some of the wholesalers?
I think the biggest one that they have is, can I sell to an unregistered dealer? And that I think is a very fundamental question. And GST law is absolutely fine with that as long as you have a turnover less than 20 lakhs. You don't need to be registered. In parts of the country it's less than 10 lakhs. So I think that's a clarification. Despite multiple reiterations, there are still parts of trade that are still not sure about that. And what we are doing is working extensively with the trade distributors as well as in parts of the country with the sales tax authorities as well. And they've been kind enough to join our workshops to tell the trade very, very clearly that there are very, very clear rules that are there, and hence we should be able to just use those rules and continue business as normal. And that I think is going to be the next week or two is going to be so crucial to land all these workshops. And wherever we have done these workshops, we are getting excellent response from trade, and we're able to get that cracking and moving forward. So we've already done about 8 odd workshops, and we'll do a few more in the coming days.
Before I get the other panelists in on the conversation, a quick question on the issue of the transitional stock, because that was one of the key concerns. Has that been addressed adequately to your satisfaction?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'll come
Fully
back
sorted.
to you with more questions, but let me bring in Mr. Krishna. Fully sorted. Krishna Bairegowda, the GST representative from the state of Karnataka. Mr. Gowda, always a pleasure to have you here on CNBC TV 18. Sir, we're almost approaching that 1-month milestone of the GST rollout. Give me a sense of what the ground reality is in the state of Karnataka. Where exactly are you facing trouble at this point? Which sectors continue to express concerns about procedural issues? What is the current state of affairs?
So far, at the ground level, there have been a few issues raised by the business community, and those we are responding. There are some confusions about certain commodity coming under multiple categories, and hence they are not aware which rate to bill it at. So those have been, as and when they have risen, we have tried to address those issues. So most of the business-related issues we have been able to respond. Most of them. There are some which may have to go back to the council, but those are very, very, very few. But there are other issues where there are still sectors which are demanding different rates, lower rates, exemption. Those are policy-level issues which do not arise at the operational level. But the other issues that are arising are actually from the consumer side. Consumers expressing that rate should have been something else, that the new rates are not really adjusted for the inbuilt taxes that were there earlier, and that they are being charged at higher rates. So there, a lot of issues are coming up in FMCG sector, in food sector, about whether the new rates are really appropriate, or is there some profiteering going on. So there also our officers are trying to talk to the concerned sectors and try to get them to come out with transparent ways where people can also be clear and sure that the new rates are the appropriate rates. So these are some of the issues, but the real issues will actually begin once they start uploading their invoices onto the GSTN. So that in a real essence, that will be the rolling out of GST when they start uploading their monthly statements, and I think that will happen in a few days. So far the operational issues are mostly, by and large, at least in Karnataka, they are very well within the expected issues. But we need to really see the major part we are looking forward to is how will GSTN function when people start uploading their statements.
Okay. So that's the ground reality in the state of Karnataka. Let me bring in the Finance Minister of the state of Kerala, Mr. Thomas Issac. Mr. Issac, thanks very much for joining us. Mr. Krishna Bairegowda, they're giving us a sense of what are the problems that Karnataka is facing, sir. 2-3 key issues that he talked about. Let me start by asking you about what you're facing. He said that there were concerns about some commodities and which tax bracket they fall into. There are concerns being raised by consumers on whether the rates are actually reflecting the reality because of the GST, and is there a sense of profiteering? Is that something that you're seeing, or have you got oral or written complaints from your state as well, sir?
Well, I do agree with you that Mr. Gowda was giving a very realistic assessment of the ground reality today. The most important issue today, I think, is the fact that the tax concessions in the GST, that the GST rates are much below the combined excise and VAT rates from the past. That's even though it may look like headline rate is higher, reality it is not there. and this tax concession has not been passed on to the consumers. In fact, the fact that earlier VAT rate of 14.5 would be on the bill, and now it will be 18%, though 18% would be much lower than, say, 30 or 35, 32%, which was existing in the past. But the headline rate gives a wrong optical picture, and that is used by the traders and others to get higher prices. They don't give the lower price. And as a result, I think there is an element of profiteering going on. For interestingly, now there is a problem in our state where distributors are demanding that GST should provide a higher margin for them. See, I am not questioning their right to have a higher margin, but choosing the GST as the appropriate time to raise this issue is, I don't think, is correct. So this is number one issue, that there is a windfall gain taking place to the corporates and traders. That's
Mr. Issac, I want you to hold on. That's a very serious charge that you're making, and we heard that coming from Mr. Krishna Baire Gowda as well, that there seems to be a feeling that there is profiteering at this point in time. Let me take that across to Harishankar Subramaniam. This was the big fear, and which is why you now have this authority which will soon be put into place. The chair will at least soon be put into place as far as anti-profiteering is concerned. When you hear what you're hearing from the Kerala Finance Minister as well as from Krishna Baire Gowda of the state of Karnataka, are you now starting to get nervous, Hari?
No, frankly, I'm not, Shirin. Throughout the sectors that I have dealt with, and then right across sectors, whether it's the CPI basket or otherwise, at the corporate level, everybody is clear about passing on the benefits that have accrued due to GST. Wherever there are benefits, people are passed on. You're seeing reductions in prices, you're seeing advertisements to that effect. Some people who have the ability to do restructuring under the MRP have done those restructuring also. So I don't believe that's an issue there. There could be some issue of transition at the last mile, when it's the consumer to whom that mom and pop shop is selling. I don't believe at the corporate level there is any issue, because it's very clear. Every single corporate that I know of, wherever there has been a deficiency, are willing to pass on that benefit on the efficiency. And in fact have passed, and there are evidences on record. There are advertisements in paper. There are so many which you are seeing and I am seeing. So I don't believe the concern is there, and I'm not. And it's too early to really come to a judgment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been barely a month at this point in time. But Mr. Balaji, let me just get you to respond to that, because you've heard the two state representatives of the GST Council on this business of the possibility of profiteering, or at least that's the feeling in the first month. At HUL, can you give us a sense of the kind of benefits that you've been able to pass on to consumers because of the GST regime?
Yeah, I think from a HUL point of view, we've been explicit from day one that we will pass on the net benefit that's accruing from GST related tax rate reductions. We will pass it on, and we started landing our price reductions from day one. For example, the first reduction that we did was because we have three categories where we got big benefits coming through, which is soaps, toothpaste, and detergent bars. And all these three categories, the price reductions have already been implemented. For example, you would have already seen advertisements on Dove 33% reduction, Pear's 33% reduction, Lifebuoy reduction, Lux reduction, Close-Up reduction, Rin reduction, Reserve Nil Mineral Bar reduction. We have gone across the board, and we are absolutely committed to passing on this net benefit at a company level into the consumer. And I think the only thing with the Honorable Ministers are saying, from on the ground reality that is there, we must also appreciate there is a lead time of when the price cuts happen, because the date of the GST transition was finalized only on June 12th. And we pressed all our networks on June 12th to get all our price reductions out. And it just takes that little bit time for the networks to land, because in any extended supply chain that you operate, I sit about 20 odd days of stock. My distributor sits at about 10 odd days of stock. The trade sits at about 30 odd days of stock. Add the three together, you should start seeing wholesale reduction in prices, massive levels starting to happening from the end of this month onwards, because everybody is moving heaven and earth to get the networks out. So I think I can understand the feedback, but from a commitment and move perspective, everybody has moved. I also know competition also started moving prices and everybody is advertising. So the intent is absolutely clear. And we shouldn't forget that FMCG is all MRP linked setups, which means we have printed MRPs. We don't have the luxury of just switching on a new price on day one. So therefore we need to pass our full networks, and then those MRPs have to be changed. Additionally, there is price reduction on one end. There's also grammage increase on the other end, because for example, a 10 rupee price point, the consumer pays a 10 rupees for a detergent bar. So therefore, we then say that in that bar, we actually increase the grammage, because that's equivalent to an effective price reduction. So all of these are being done at an almost a war footing is happening in the companies. You come into the companies, you can see that. Absolutely, to ensure that the pricing lands on the ground, because it's also, don't forget, it's also highly competitive. The earlier I drop my prices and get it out there, it is a competitive advantage for us as well. So therefore, we have a vested interest to cut the prices, and therefore there should be absolutely no fear of any profiteering whatsoever.
Profiteering. Oh, well, I think that is a good explanation. I'll get Mr. Issac to respond to that. But very quickly, before we head into a break, let me go back to Mr. Bairegowda. Sir, you said that there are some issues that need to be taken to the GST Council. Can you elaborate on what those specific issues are? Because the next meeting of the GST Council is on the 5th of August. What is likely to be taken up there?
So some of them are actually settled issues. Some are new issues which are arising. If I were to take the case of a settled issue which has been discussed and decided in the council, but which is coming back again and again, is the case of branded and registered food and grains and atta, where there is a 5% GST rate on branded and registered goods under this sector. So we have experienced that some of the established brands which are selling grains, cereals, pulses, and also atta, because packaged goods attract 5% GST rate, now we are seeing that they are actually deregistering their brands. And so this seems to be not a development in the best interest of the society either, because registered brands are in some sense better. They are welcome because their hygiene, nutrition standards are well kept, and we should actually encourage more of them. Now, because we have exempted unregistered packaged goods in this sector, that is grains and atta, and we have taxed the registered brands. So this is actually causing a reverse migration from branded to unbranded, maybe, or rather the same brand but sold deregistered form. So this is not a healthy development in any case. So these are some of the issues that may that were discussed in the council but may have to come up to the council again. So there are other issues like these related to rates which may go back to the council when the council convenes. So I think Finance Minister, Union Finance Minister has set up a mechanism where such issues can be raised by the states, and they will be vetted by a group of officers before and then placed in the council. So I'm sure many states may have issues, and they will. There is a process now of examination, and these are likely to come to the council meeting on August 5th.
Okay, so very important. You're giving us a sense of what we could see the GST Council take up when it next meets on the 5th of August. Reverse migration from branded to unbranded and deregistered. That's a move that perhaps the GST Council will need to take cognizance of. We'll take a quick break, discuss that with our panelists when we return here. You're watching Eye on India. We're assessing the 1 month of the GST rollout.
Get ready to explore, unwind and relax at your favorite holiday destination like Harry and Sejal with Cox and Kings. Enter the Cox and Kings Jab Harry Met Sejal contest. Log on to coxandkings.com. Send us an SMS or call our toll-free number. Tell us your dream destination and one lucky winner will get their dream holiday.
Participate in the contest now to win your dream holiday.
And also get a chance to meet us.
Yes FinTech Accelerator has helped scale 10 innovative FinTech startups that were selected from 753 applications across 18 countries. Catch the demo of their solutions at these times. Presented by Yes Bank.
The campus edition of Tata Crucible reaches its zonal fate. Go ahead.
A milestone event beckons.
100!
The city of Nizams hosts this season's first zonal round.
100!
Catch Tata Crucible, the Campus Quiz 2017 Hyderabad Zonal Final at these times only on CNBC TV 18.
Presented by Tata. Leadership with trust.
Welcome to the Financial Advisor Awards 2016-17 presented by UTI Mutual Fund, CNBC TV 18.
We celebrate the contribution of India's sharpest investment minds at the country's most prestigious financial awards. Watch the Financial Advisor Awards 2016-2017 at these times only on CNBC TV 18.
Presenting sponsor UTI Mutual Fund. Haq ek behtar zindagi ka. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully. Powered by ICRA.
Powerful, agile, intelligent, the all-new BMW 5 Series.
Winners of the new marketing era are the companies who are mastering the art and science of innovative marketing practices. Hindustan Unilever Ltd and CNBC TV 18 present Lessons in Marketing Excellence Season 9. Coming soon.
Presented by Hindustan Unilever Ltd.
मुंशी प्रेमचंद के बारे में मैं तुम लोगों को एक दिलचस्प बात बताऊं। ये लो चेंज नहीं तो बताया क्यों नहीं?
छूटा नहीं है सर।
हाँ तुम खाना खा लो, मुझे देर हो जाएगी।
हेलो सर। कुछ दिनों से देख रहा हूँ आप काफी परेशान लग रहे हैं। अब कैश की जगह अपना कार्ड यूज कर सकते कहीं भी।
अच्छा
मैं सिखाऊं? अब अपना एटीएम पिन डालिए, याद रहेगा ना सर?
कहते हैं जब एक अच्छा टीचर लाइफ के लेसन दे जाए तो वो जिंदगी भर याद रहते हैं। ला मुझे दे दो।
अरे नहीं सर,
नहीं दे दो
चलेगा सर।
Welcome back. You're watching Eye on India and we're discussing the hits and misses of the first month of the rollout of the Goods and Services Tax. Let me go across to the Finance Minister of Kerala. Mr. Issac, just before the break, Krishna Bairegowda talking about this reverse migration where we are actually seeing brands deregister their trademark to avail of the benefits of zero duty under the GST regime, specifically in the commodities segment. How much of a concern is this and what else can we expect the GST Council to address? Do you believe any kind of rate revision is still possible at this stage, sir?
Well, I don't consider this to be a very big issue because in Kerala, there was, in the past, the VAT system also, there was this distinction between branded and unbranded. One, we has to look into the revenue implications of treating them alike and making them tax-free. Two, one has also to think about the implications for the unorganized sector of production. Well, it's a complex issue. Definitely it can be discussed again. But there are other many important issues. For example, there are a number of cases where credit card gets blocked. For example, textiles, that has been an issue which has aroused so much passion and strikes and so on. You have got raw material, synthetic fibers, taxed at 18% and fabric at 8%, 5%. And therefore, the credit get blocks. Only integrated large firms can survive. Others will be wiped out. Now, certainly there is a major issue here which should be revisited. The issue lies in treating man-made and synthetic fibers separate. There are issues like this, and there are a number of players. The rates have to be revisited. First of all, I don't know why we should tax plastic waste. We want to somehow get rid of it and encourage people to take it and go away. So why should we tax them? Or tax on sanitary napkins?
But Mr. Issac, whether it's the finance minister or the revenue secretary, they believe that this is not the right time to revise rates, let things settle down. Are you suggesting that the GST Council may in fact respond to some of the concerns? For instance, the concerns that have been raised by the textile sector wasn't addressed in the last meeting of the GST Council, the unscheduled meeting which decided to hike the tax incidence on cigarettes, for instance.
They are right in a sense. That let things settle down, then only we revisit generally. But there are some very glaring issues which must be addressed immediately. Like, for example, tax on cigarette. There is one obvious issue. I would say this textile, we cannot delay that because there will be a lot of problems with the all small-scale weavers. Or else for some waste plastic. This has got an immediate impact upon waste collection all over India. So there are some pressing issues like this which we have to address immediately, and that will certainly be a part of the agenda on when we meet on 5th. Already Fitment Committee is going through many of these suggestions that have gone to the centre. So they certainly will be discussed.
Hari, some of the issues there being raised by Mr. Issac in terms of glaring issues that the GST Council may address on the 5th of August. It's been fairly responsive so far. What else would you like the Council to address on a war footing?
So they've been pretty responsive, I would say, whether it's the Council or even at the Working Committee level for issuing clarifications. To the extent that they've been able to resolve and issue a clarification, they have. So I mean, the initial thought process was the rates will not be revisited for at least a 3-month period till it settles down. But if there are glaring issues of the nature that have been mentioned,
especially in this inverted duty business,
inverted duty business, I believe they will look at it in the 5th August. A couple of other issues that they have to look at is that, another issue which I believe the industry has woken up to it now is that the first return, and I think Mr. Bairagoda said correctly, the real test of the putting of GST will also be on August 20th onwards when your return starts filing. So you have the first summarized 3B return happening on August 20th. Now the way the 3B format is, and I am sure they will try and correct that, is that the transition credit returns which have accrued on the day of transition under the Tran 1 form that you filed, there seems to be no provision for set off or an opening balance of that credit. So I believe it will be a big problem if on day one you will have to pay entire tax on cash. So it will be a working capital issue. It will be a huge issue for the industry. I believe they will look at that. So these are also issues that they'll have to be looking at it on the 5th August meeting, which are transition related issues or operational issues. Because the real proof will start of filing on August 20th and then on September 10th and 20th when you actually do transaction level filing, which is the real tryst of what the entire compliance is going to be.
Yes, the real tryst of GST compliance will be tested starting the 20th of August with the returns filing. Mr. Balaji, I'm going to give you 30 seconds for your closing comments. How would you sum up the month that's gone by? And if it were one glaring issue you would like the GST Council to address?
Yeah, I think it's been a great transition. I think we're quite happy with the way it has gone and pretty swiftly and smoothly for us. So quite happy with that. There's one issue which I really urge the Council to look at is early release of all the APIs for the return so that we can get it tested. And if I get to squeeze in one more, I think some of the operational issues which are needless in terms of controls, C-forms being released within 90 days, old VAT-related invoices to be processed within 30 days. These are things which can be given more time so that we can get to the heart of landing GST instead of worrying about some minor issues here and there.
Okay, Mr. Issac, Mr. Balaji, Hari, Mr. Krishna Bairagoda, thanks very much for joining us here on this special broadcast as we discuss the hits and misses of the first month of the GST rollout. We'll see you again on the 5th of August to take stock of things from here on. But for now, thanks very much for watching.
Presented by EY, building a better working world.
Yes Fintech Accelerator has helped scale 10 innovative fintech startups that were selected from 753 applications across 18 countries. Catch the demo of their solutions at these times. Presented by Yes Bank.
CNBC TV 18 now brings you the greatest investment opportunity. 3 books that'll change your relationship with money. 16 personal finance principles every investor should know. A book that introduces the basics of money and investments. How to be your own financial planner in 10 steps. Your guide to wealth without the complex formulas. And 11 principles to achieve financial freedom. A book that'll empower your wealth creation. Master your financial life. SMS CD Master to 51818 or mail us at cd@network18online.com.
Do you ask your daughters to stay indoors after dark? Do you ask them to refrain from wearing short skirts? Then you're only shielding them from the problem, not solving it.
Sensitizing our children from the start to respect men and women equally will bring in a new tomorrow where our women do not live in fear. Tata Tea is petitioning the HRD Ministry to include gender sensitization in schools. Join us and give a missed call on 784-784-4444 to sign the petition.
Jago, jago, jago re.
मुंशी प्रेमचंद के बारे में मैं तुम लोगों को एक दिलचस्प बात बताऊं। ये लो चेंज नहीं तो तूने बताया क्यों नहीं?
छुट्टा नहीं है सर।
हाँ तुम खाना खा लो, मुझे देर हो जाएगी।
हेलो सर। कुछ दिनों से देख रहा हूँ आप काफी परेशान लग रहे हैं। अब कैश की जगह अपना कार्ड यूज कर सकते कहीं भी।
अच्छा